Right. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us for another West Kerno Sounds podcast. This time I'm with Joe and Sean from a band called Stay for Tomorrow. How are you guys doing?
Oh, yeah, we're doing very well. Very well. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. So we start off then by asking Joe, or both of you, but Joe first. What first got you into music?
It was probably my parents, to be honest. They fell in love with the Proclaimers and followed them around a lot of gigs throughout the UK. And, just being in that environment and just listening to loads of different styles of music from there on forth. And as I grew up a little bit, went along to a load of local bands to see them play and just really fell in love with that. And I was like, I really want to do that myself. Um, and yeah, it just really immersed myself in it. It was actually my brother that got a guitar, and he didn't really enjoy it, and so
Right.
I stole it off of him. I decided to learn how to play a few famous bits and pieces that I liked. And after that, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm actually really enjoying this, and I want to take it further. And so I did. Really, just
Right.
that's about
Right.
it. Yeah.
Okay. What about yourself, Sean? And how did you start in it?
Um, Fairly similar to Joe, I guess. My parents were both big into music. My mum was a big clubber in her youth. She also played piano, so I suppose kind of two sides of the spectrum there. My dad's big into kind of 70s and 80s rock and metal. He still is. So we quite often go and see bands like Slash. We went to see Guns N' Roses last year. Meant to be seeing Deep Purple this year. So just kind of surrounded by music all the time in the house. And then through school, picked up the drums myself, took music throughout school and uni, and then just kept playing in bands from then on. But yeah, really just a progression of you're subjected to it a lot
Right.
every day. You don't really think about it. It's just there all the time, and then you kind of pick up from that.
Right. Brilliant. Brilliant. So you're in a band called Stay for Tomorrow. How did that form then? Do you want to sort of explain it, Joe, a bit?
Yeah, so I was doing a bunch of acoustic material and met the guitarist Nick from doing a gig, and we bumped into each other. And he was telling me that he was involved in music, and I said to him, I was like, I really want to see how I can like transform this into like a full band type thing. And is that something you could do? He was like, yeah, absolutely. Initially, I was actually paying him to do it.
Okay.
And after a few sessions, he was like, what's the goal here? And I was like, well, I want to, just do this, but live and, create a band from there. And he had got invested in the songs, as he was making them with me and rearranging them, that sort of thing. And he wanted to join. And then from there, Nick's in another band called The Passing Sages with Sean. And we needed to get some drums laid down on a track or two to see what that's going to sound like and to flesh it out. And kind of the same thing happened with Sean. That we put some drums down. And he was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm quite interested as well." And it was the three of us for a little while until we had, pretty much a set list full of songs, in which we're like, right, now's the time that we're ready to get the bassist in, and then we can play some gigs. So we put the name out there. And which we found our bassist Ollie quite quickly, who really gelled into the group, and that's who we are now.
That's fantastic. That is, yeah. So Sean, what sort of, bit on the spot here? What would you say your genre is, music style then for the band?
It really depends who you ask. If you
Right.
ask us, I think we would have slightly different influences than maybe other people that have either reviewed or written about us have said. So
Okay.
recently it's been Frightened Rabbit, which maybe a bit left field. You got like Twin Atlantic and then even like the Foo Fighters and stuff. I think it's really different depending who you ask. I think a lot of times it's Scottish bands if you're listening to the lyrics or Joe singing. Depends if you're listening to the guitars, maybe it's a bit more kind of rock and metal influenced.
Right.
It's really a kind of mixing pot. So really, alt rock, I guess, would be very safe.
Okay.
Kind of bit of everything.
Yeah, fair play. So who's the main sort of lyricist then? Is that you, Joe?
Yes. And well, yes, initially, as we've grown as a band, we've collated our ideas together, in which we've now got songs written from different members from us rather than just myself, which is great because we're going in that direction where we're all contributing, and we're all saying, you know what, we really like this, and we're now at that place, we can bring songs together and pick them apart a bit and be like, you know what, I don't like that, but I like this, and we'll get to that same wavelength space that we're all on the same page, and
Right.
and that's really good that we can have that common agreement with all four of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you were to ask now, it's a bit of all of us, to be honest.
Okay. And is that process an easy process with all of you involved?
I think we just really love writing songs. We've got a nice backlog of songs, as I'm sure most bands do as well, that are like a bit half unfinished. We're like, oh, you know what, that is really good. Maybe we should go back to that. Each song that we've made has been a bit of a different journey, which is why I was laughing a bit at the start of it, where it'll be either the part that will, maybe one of us has written something quite bare bones, or we'll just be having a bit of a jam and then be like, actually, you know what, this sounds quite good, and just build on it from there. So each one's been a bit of a different journey, but it's been really good along the way.
Brilliant. So in terms of your creative process and all of you taking part in that process, have you found that lockdown as sort of, because some bands I talk to say it's sharpened that process, actually they've had the time, and some have said it's completely destroyed it and blown it out the window. So how have you found the lockdown then? So we start with Sean. How have you found the processes?
You're right. Some of the songs have been really easy because depending on what's going into them, if it's like for me, for the drums, before I moved flat at the start of this year, I had my electronic kit, which is in our kind of band room and studio. I had it in my old flat, so I could record easily and get demos written very quickly. Whereas at the moment, it's not here, it's in the studio, and just with lockdown and not being able to access it, we're struggling with that. But I can still write and program drums on Logic. So we can still get the content written, it's just not as original. You can tell it's a bit kind of synthetic. You can tell that it's programmed rather than played live. Right. So even from that, then if that kind of layers up that say Ollie can't record properly at home with his equipment and not being able to get into the studio, that's kind of compounded. And then if like Joe or Nick can't record, it kind of piles up. But we're still getting work written. We're still getting songs kind of pushed forward. Like Joe says, we've got, I don't even know how many's on that drive file now. 40 maybe. Some are very close to completion and some are kind of just like a riff, I think.
Yeah. So it's on like a different format that's working for you at the moment, basically.
Yeah, we're having to work differently than we could even, like I say, during the first lockdown, just because I had access to my kit, and therefore if they've written an idea and it comes to me to write the drums, I was able to get it done in an afternoon, whereas at the moment it's taken a wee bit longer.
Yeah.
But we're still getting somewhere at least.
I think we all couldn't believe how much work goes into creating a lockdown type show. It's so much longer. It's with four of us, it's 4 times the work. So with the more members that you've got as well for those bands, it's a lot of work, and to make it, look and sound half decent compared to actually just playing a show which has got more adrenaline going for that. It's been different for sure.
Have you managed then to do any sort of internet show or internet giggy type things, like on Zoom or have you?
Yeah, so we found that the best way to do it is to kind of have it pre-recorded. We did one for like Frontline Festival, and for One Kind as well. And it was really great, and it was a big learning curve, I think, a bit for all of us. But yeah, having that sort of pre-recorded show and making sure it's all more of, you know, a video edited gig rather than like a live performance, just so that it's clear and cut through. Because if you think of the nitty gritty, if you were to just press live and have us all going live right now, there's going to be such a massive time difference. It will just sound like a mess.
Yeah, definitely.
We could try, but
yeah, interesting.
Totally.
So what, Sean, what's music's out there now if people wanted to sort of listen to what you do, and where can they listen to it basically?
So our music's kind of everywhere, I think. The main places like Spotify and Amazon. It's on Deezer. It's on every streaming platform you can think of, as far as I'm aware. Because we have 3 singles out at the moment. Yes. It's kind of difficult. We've got that many recorded. I'm trying to remember what's actually been released and what's still to come.
Yeah. Okay, so after lockdown, then I'm assuming you're hoping to get more recording done and live gigs. I mean, I assume that's the way to go, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've so our 3 singles that we've got out just now are Kings and Queens, which we recorded and mixed ourselves, and then we went to Mark Morrow Audio in Edinburgh to record our other singles are out. Rumours and Criminal was recorded by us and then mixed by Mark Morrow. And we had so many plans to release music last year, and we wanted to release more music than before, and it's kind of just done a bit of a 180 on that, as it was such an unsure time. Originally it was only going to be for a couple of weeks. We're like, oh, maybe we should just hold off. We were in the studio right before lockdown started, so we have had tracks ready to go for a long time, to the point that to us they feel almost old, but we're just so excited to release them. But that's 100% happening this year. Looking for it to be very, very soon.
Okay, so is that an EP type scenario or an album, or?
We're gonna release it's gonna be single first of all. We're gonna look into an EP, but I think at the moment the plan is to sort of drop feed these singles, and then after that's coming to a close, looking to get back into a studio again, and then the potential of an EP could be there, but we'll soon see what the future holds.
Right. So Sean, is there any sort of gigs booked tentatively for coming out of the lockdown? Have you anything booked for you?
There's one in June that's a reaction management kind of showcase for 3 nights that was pushed back from January. So I think that's still penciled in for June. I guess we're all just kind of in the same boat in terms of waiting to see what can happen. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else lined up, unless I'm mistaken, Joe.
No, that's absolutely right. We're really got our fingers crossed that it's going ahead. It's as Sean says, it's very penciled in at the moment. So hopefully that will go ahead, but we just need to wait and see.
Yeah, because we have 2 or 3 other gigs that got cancelled because of lockdown last kind of March time. Because we had a Glasgow one, an Edinburgh one, possibly something else. So they might get rescheduled and things. We don't know, but again, it's all dependent on what opens, where it opens, if it opens at all, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So, if you as a band could sort of open for any other band that's either around now or has been, okay, who, I know it's difficult to say a band, but let's start with Joe. Who would you like to open up for? Which artist, band, or whatever?
Oh man, I'll already tell you straight away that it will definitely change between individual band members of us. I think for me, I would have to say Paramore, since I've been a mad fan of them since I was about 15, and I owe it to my old emo self as a teenager.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I think I'd need to say Paramore.
Okay. What about you, Sean?
Realistically, I could list about 50 bands that would be amazing. I think it would have to be either Creed or Alter Bridge. Massive March Monty fan. I'm meant to be getting the See Scott Stapp solo tour next year in Birmingham, hopefully, because again, that's just bucket list gig. But yeah, definitely, I think it'd be Creed or Alter Bridge.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, going to come up now for the sort of last question, okay? And I asked everybody the same question, but it might, you know, when you've got two people, it becomes a bit advantageous to become second on this one, okay? So, but we're going to keep the same theme. I'm going to go Joe first, okay? So, is there anybody you would like to thank for you being here musically now?
Oh wow. Wow, okay, that's a bit of a difficult question. I've never really thought about that too much in depth. I mean, I think for where I am now, I was probably just, you know, my parents for having this, you know, the support in me, and just having, you know, the band members as well. Everyone's been so supportive ever since we started and put this thing together. And every time like someone comes up with, even with the early stages of, you know, our friendship and everything, just having that step by step being like, can I show them XYZ projects? Because music and the creation of it can be a very personal thing, and just showing that and opening that up to someone, being like, does this even sound any good, or, you know, does this work or whatever, and just having the confidence of that. So yeah.
Brilliant. What about you, Sean?
Might have been advantageous to go second for the amount of time you get to think, but not when Joe steals your answer. I have to say my mum and dad as well. Like I say, just because I was brought up around music, even if there was a lot of things that maybe they listened to when I was a kid that I don't now, I think just being brought up with it kind of made me passionate about it. And they bought me my first drum kit when I was 13, 14, I guess. And although they maybe didn't push me to become a drummer or try and become a musician, and just giving me the chance to like have one, and actually I'd sit and play for hours on things I liked rather than learning rudiments or actually practicing for lessons and things. I guess it was just the chance to kind of find out you like this and you could learn this. Because a lot of my wage still goes towards going to see bands, whether it's kind of small scale or the kind of big tours and things. So I think that passion is definitely brought from a young age.
Superb. Guys, look, thanks very much for the time.
Thanks for
really
having us.
interesting talking to you. It's been brilliant.
Nice one. Thank you.
And good luck, you know, with everything, the EP and getting the gigs together, and, you know, I hope it all works for you.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. All right. Take care, guys.
Cheers. You too.
Cheers.